Holding got in touch saying our daughter Sarah works in adoption, and she tries to pair prospective parents with children who are awaiting adoption. She's part of a team that works across the Midlands, including Northamptonshire, and they have a campaign at the moment called The Long Wait. Around 3,000 children are waiting to be matched with an adoptive family. From Adoption Focus, Anna Sharkey. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Bernie.
The title of The Long Wait is interesting, I think. First off, there is a perception on the part of potential adopters, I think, that it is going to take a long time, will be difficult and invasive. Accurate or not?
Well, the long wait was intended to highlight the wait that children can face.
Yes, it does. We'll come on to that in just a second. But that is the perception, isn't it, from parents?
Yeah. And from the perspective of parents, certainly their view is that it will be long and it will be challenging. And the whole process is intended to ensure that the children we find placements for will be with safe and loving parents. And actually, it's not as long and challenging as people think it is. It's there to encourage people to find out as much as possible that they can about who these children are and how they can become the parents that they want to be, to ensure those children get the best opportunity of a good childhood.
But as a result of that perception, in part, are there fewer people now coming forward?
I think so. I think there's been there is a perception out there that it's going to be very difficult. And what we're trying to do is encourage people to not put themselves off before they've even started the process. So if their starting point is it's going to be too difficult and too long, then they're not going to come into it at all. So not even to consider it as a good possibility. And what we're trying to encourage people to think is, okay, I'm not sure about it, but I need to have a conversation with people who do know. So that's why we're encouraging people to make contact with us as an organisation.
And how it starts, of course, I guess will be a conversation amongst yourself. I'm assuming a couple, but is it always a couple? Can single people adopt?
Single people can adopt, couples can adopt, and people who've already got children can adopt.
And then from there, once you decided it's a thing you want to do or to continue doing, what do you do? Approach someone like you, Adoption Focus, yeah?
Yeah, so if you have a look at our website, you'll see that there's lots of information there anyway, but we also provide very regular information events. We have those online, so people can join by coming into a Teams meeting, and they're on Wednesday evenings, but we also have in-person events that are dotted around the area in which we work. And they can have a conversation with one of our members of staff who will talk to them about anything they want to know about adoption and about the children and about what we can do to help them into the process.
And that website, we'll give it again when we wrap up the chat, Anna, but it's adoption-focus.org.uk. Okay, so if you need to jot it down, get your phone out, a pen and paper, adoption-focus.org.uk. And the business, as you say, of the long wait being for children, having a child wait is at odds with the fact that children grow up and change very quickly, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think what we're trying to get adults to think about is how long things are when you're a child. And you know, the sorts of things people can remember themselves. Things like breaking up for the 6-week summer holiday felt like an absolute lifetime. We're talking about a delay of up to 18 months and beyond for a child. They're growing older every week and missing out on their opportunity of joining a family that they can live in forever and be part of that family.
So who are the children then, Anna? Of course, they're varied, I know that. They will have experienced loss, upheaval, maybe trauma, will they?
Yes, usually that will be the case. There are very few babies available for adoption of the old type of adoptions that people may be familiar with, which would be where parents are making a decision that their child needs to be brought up by other people. Most of the children that we are placing are children who will have experienced some level of trauma. That will be because wherever possible, local authority social workers are working with the children's families to try and enable them to manage to parent their children properly and effectively and lovingly and not cause any harm or difficulty to them. There will be all sorts of reasons why parents are unable to do that. And local authority social workers will be doing their utmost to ensure that they get all the support they can. Sometimes that's not enough, and sometimes those children need to go into a new family, which is where our adoption comes in.
And where are they likely to be whilst they're waiting?
They will be in foster placements, so they'll be being cared for by people who will be used to looking after children who have come from trauma, and to prepare them then for their adoption placement.
And that's part of a legal process, isn't it, for them to go through
Yeah.
to decide whether they can and should be adopted?
Absolutely. So in terms of the child's process, the first point of call will be about ensuring that they can do whatever they can to keep them with birth family, and if not, it will be a legal process. So a court will make a decision about, first of all, whether or not the child needs to be on a care order and in the care of the local authority, and then whether or not the plan should be adoption, which should be achieved through a placement order being granted, which means the child can be placed with adopters who will ultimately then apply for the adoption order.
And it might be a how long is a piece of string question, but I'll ask it anyway, Anna. How long should the process be?
The process for adopters will be that there's a two-stage process from the starting point, which is once we start working with people, there's a process by which we take up references and a number of checks, and then we do an assessment. That whole process should take about 6 months. It often takes longer, but that's because people want a bit longer to think about what they're doing and really prepare themselves for the challenge of being a family, because all family life can be complicated and challenging. And then it depends on who the children are that need a placement and whether or not it's a good fit of that child with a particular family, because we're doing everything we can to support that family into a lifelong experience of family life.
I think it's an amazing thing to do. I think it's heroic, really. And it is a lifelong commitment, isn't it?
Completely. And as I've said before, all family life can be challenging, but family is where all of us belong. It's where we all come from, and it's where we all belong. And it supports us in that long term. It's all those things that we expect to have from our family, those connections, seeing us through those life events that are so significant, and being part of your adoptive family provides that for you in the long term as well.
And you've been in the adoption sector for how long, Anna?
Well, I've worked in adoption specifically since 1988.
Wow, a long time. And in that time, I think it's been quite tough in Britain in the last 20 years, maybe. These are not easy times. Has that been reflected in your sector?
Yeah, I think so, because all the time there are so many things that are conflicting and challenging for all families. And I think if we look at younger people currently, people coming into adult life who have had are struggling to find places to live, rental, getting onto the housing ladder, finding a career, stable employment, managing cost of living crisis, all of those sorts of things impact not only on the families who are experiencing difficulties, which may mean their children don't stay with them, but also on people who are preparing for family life and adult life themselves, because they've also got all of those things to manage.
Well, people commuting in Northamptonshire to and from may have seen the campaign already, The Long Wait, and want to find out more. You can do so by going to adoption-focus.org.uk, or the details, or the times, or the numbers, the starting points are all on adoption-focus.org.uk. Nice to talk to you, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.